Thank you, Julia. It is always a pleasure for us to hear you speak from the heart and with so much passion. I would now like to welcome the first panel speaker, Mr. Mohanned Arabiat. Dr. Arabiat, you're definitely the picture of a healthy body and a healthy mind. We have been informed you start every day with a workout. As the president of Generation for Peace, founded by His Royal Highness Prince Faisal Al Unsan, Generation for Peace is the world's second leading peace-building NGO working to transform conflict and inspire peace. What activities and strategies has Generation for Peace employed, and how could they be applied to dismantle the current global landscape of extremities?
Well, first of all, let me thank you and also thank UTS for organizing this important event. And hats off to Stefan and Julia for pulling off yet another successful festival during those challenging times. And yes, I am religiously committed to working out. In many ways, it is what keeps me sane and grounded. It is one of those kinds of good routines that you want to maintain. And trust me when I say it is a constant that one needs, especially during such times where uncertainty is almost the only constant. Generations for Peace, as you mentioned, was founded in 2007 by His Royal Highness Prince Faisal bin al-Hussein as a tribute to the legacy of our late king, his father, King Hussein, who made peace his lifelong mission. Focusing on your question, dismantling the current global landscape of extremities requires a paradigm shift and an understanding that we are only as strong and resilient as the weakest and the most vulnerable amongst us, be those individuals, organizations, and even states or nations. In these times of wars, division, polarization, and separation, the rise of extremism, and the exacerbation of those issues by the COVID-19 pandemic, we must strengthen our belief in the vital importance of building bridges, of facilitating ways to bring people together across conflict and identity divides, to support interreligious and intercultural dialogue, and to foster tolerance and understanding of diversity as a strength. In today's world, promoting intercultural dialogue and such understanding is more important than ever. It is essential for social, political, and economic development. The roots of conflict might differ from one context to another, yet the violent expressions of those conflicts are eerily similar in the cost we pay in lives lost, dreams shattered, and opportunities missed, both socially and economically. The cost of violence and conflict is unsurmountable, yet we collectively fail to see the value of investing more in upstream prevention, peace-building efforts. We also at GFP see the pandemic as a stress test for all human systems, which is showing up glaring deficiencies in many of our systems at international, national, subnational, community, and even at the household level. We must not return to normal. There is a sense of urgency that we must learn from this to strengthen our systems to be more resilient, equitable, and effective to address the far larger challenges of the climate emergency and its intersectionality with peace building and other human development aspirations such as the SDGs. The new peace building context of COVID-19 makes it more urgent than ever to support stronger social cohesion and youth leadership to address both pre-existing and continuously changing needs.
Dr. Arabiat, Generation for Peace works with empowering leaders of youth to promote active tolerance and responsible citizenship in communities experiencing different forms of conflict and violence. What do you feel we need to be focusing on teaching children, and how can we do this?
Well, for Generations for Peace, peace building is about supporting people in communities to address local issues of conflict and violence that they are passionate about changing, part of their everyday lived experience. This includes different forms of direct violence, but also structural and cultural violence. Our work spans identity-related conflicts like inter-ethnic, inter-religious, inter-tribal violence, gang cultures, politically and ideologically motivated violence, and violent extremism, as well as gender-based violence and discrimination against persons with disabilities or exclusion of minorities such as internally displaced people or refugees. We always work through strong existing structures in communities. Often, these are schools or youth centers, local civil society organizations, or sports clubs. Our entire approach is grounded in methods to include community members directly in conflict analysis and community assessments, and in program design implementation, monitoring, and impact evaluations, so that it is communities themselves who articulate in their own words the change they want to see and even indicators of outcomes and impacts they will measure, collecting numerical data and stories of change. So the sense making is relevant and owned by the community. Here, I must say that for the sake of our shared destiny, we must invest more in our communities to build social capital. And to do so, we must find innovative ways to face the challenges of multiculturalism, of a generation of disaffected youth who feel disconnected from their communities, of societies in which certain groups feel excluded, whether they are ethnic, religious, or other minorities, people with a disability, or girls and women in communities. Social exclusion leads to conflict and violence and is a barrier to development. Social inclusion must be our common goal. On the opportunity side, from the COVID-19 crisis, we can see that subnational structures and youth engagement can be harnessed to support the national response and recovery efforts. And youth can play an important role in connecting and engaging community institutions to strengthen resilience and security, simultaneously giving governments the opportunity to transform youth-state relations, tackle political, economic, and social tensions, and minimize the appeal of violent extremist organizations. Youth are often the most active in local engagement in cases of crisis, showing resilience through resourcefulness, creativity, and know-how. But here, let me pause and talk about the concept of resilience and what it shouldn't mean for us. Resilience is not simply about the ability to survive or withstand crisis. Resilience is not only about being immune to violent extremist ideologies. Resilience is not about being static. It's about the ability to adapt and change. It's about challenging the status quo and understanding the systems that maintain it and reproduce it. Strong communities and young people's involvement in associations can also build their social capital and sense of belonging and empowerment, providing them with the confidence and skills to become important drivers and agents of change. We are all in this together as global citizens, and if we pull together to invest more in young people and in peace building, then we can unlock the enormous potential of youth and positive peace dividend for communities here in the Middle East and all around the world.